Hi Lulu, how you doing? It's me, Klaus, if you don't recognise me. The fifth of your second, the fifth, no, the first of your second one, your fifth grandchild, yeah. I try to, my introductory music there, you probably hadn't heard that before, but it's the only thing I could think of, which resemble a time that you remember. The 1920s, you see me little hat here and my waistcoat. I put a tie on it, and I never wear a tie for anyone. I mean, this is, and look, my timepiece over here. See, but I did leave my hoodie on because I couldn't wear a white shirt. That would be asking too much now. I'm not really a suit kind of guy. No, never really wore a whistle. No, not for me. Thank you. So how you been up there anyway? It's been 25 years. This is why I'm calling you. I'm calling you to give me a sign. Not really. Listen, I do not know whether you're up there, whether you're listening to this, whether you're a cloud, whether you're in a cloud, whether you're water now, whether you have your own planetary system. I mean, some people say when you pass away with here, you become a star. I mean, there's so many of up there. There's more stars than there have been people alive here. Now, I don't doubt there's other planets where there's been people or beings, should I say, something that's got life. Could be anything. Could have 8 heads, 2 heads, half a head. Half a head would look ridiculous, wouldn't it? So anyway, how you been there? What thing? You're not going to talk back to me because obviously, well, you might give me a little sign. You might make me move how to make a cup of tea. There's a picture of your great granddaughter. How about that? Because you remember your granddaughter, yes, your great granddaughter Kelly. Yeah, she would have been about 10, 11 when you passed on. Yeah, she's had her own kids now, so which makes me a granddad, and she's out at the moment. My grandchildren, they're in Spain, so I got this place to myself for a few hours anyway. Beautiful backdrops, still in the London Borough of Merton, but up in Morden, facing a lovely park. We've got trees out there. We've got birds flying. The main birds we got now, they've taken over places like an invasion of these parakeets, these green birds and that. They would have sort of started coming around about the time you passed on to wherever you've gone to, wherever you are now. And they've completely taken over. They make all the noise. I mean, people complain about them. They harass the other birds, but I haven't seen much evidence of that. I still see the crows as the main bullies. I see a crow pecking away at a pigeon the other day. I walked to him and he flew off. So I suppose I saved a pigeon. Some people might say that's not a good thing because we've got so many of them, but everyone's got should be able to live as long as they can. Yeah? And I just want to let you know what's been happening here since you've been gone. Well, a couple of weeks since you passed. I don't know if you know whether you're up there. A couple of buildings come tumbling down, and at some point, when the second plane went in that building, we thought this could be the end of the world, and people commented on it. They thought that you might think that as well. This could be the end of the world, and a lot of us did. But basically, it was what they call a terrorist attack. It was a very audacious display of 2 planes crashing into the World Trade Centers, the ones in New York, and they crumbled to the ground, and a couple, 2,000 or 3,000 people passed on that day. So yeah, that was a very audacious attack. Since then, I suppose nothing as audacious as that has happened. We've had the usual wars, comings and goings, and stuff like that. People fighting with each other. But one thing that has drastically changed, and this is where I think a lot of people are going to switch off now, if anyone ever watches this, is the phone. Yep, here he goes again. I can hear people saying the 2 or 3 viewers that might be watching this. The phone has drastically changed life as we know it. And the trouble is, most people don't even know. And sometimes I think back to the times that I had those. I remember in the 80s, I had something called a Walkman. Do you remember them? You had a little cassette and you put your tape in and you listened to music with headphones. And it was kind of cool because not everyone had one. And it was like. But basically what you're doing is shutting yourself away from everything else around you. And I remember about 10 years ago, even I went to Wales, my annual pilgrimage, which I'm missing out this year, so I'll have to make up for it next year. Having headphones on while out in the country doing some digging or something, and Patrick looking at me and shaking his head and going, "What are you doing? Shutting everything out?" And I remember saying to him, "Yeah, but I can hear the A48 vaguely over there." And not really a good enough excuse, no. Because now it's all turned on its head for me. Now, I see everyone else, they haven't got Walkmans anymore, they've got these phones. And they might all, they've got these little headpieces in there. People, I mean, it's fine if you're at home or whatever, you've got nothing else to do, fine. Do what you want anyway. I'm not the gatekeeper of what people should do, because this is a battle I definitely lost, but I refuse to give in. You know that old saying? If you can't beat them, join them. I will not join them on this one, because I can't see anything good happening out of this. Now, obviously, these things have their usages. They're connected to what they call the internet now, basically. The internet was invented a few years before you went on. A guy from Cambridge, Bernard something, I can't remember his second name. It was in the mid-90s, but basically you could check anything out by typing into your computer. Well, basically phones are now computers, so everything is there. You can do. It's getting ridiculous now. So people are addicted to these machines. Yeah, it's taken over. It's called. It's definitely now the opiate of the masses, which originally, I think that word comes from opiate of the masses was religion, wasn't it? And then it went on to well, I think it almost jumped onto phones because they had televisions. I remember when we were young, and my mum would say, "Someone's coming round in the 70s. Turn the TV off. Someone's coming round." Well, those days are gone now. You know, everyone's on their own little thing now. So, but you only really notice it when you don't have one. I always say to people, just put your phone away for just half a day. It's almost impossible for most people, because what it is, and the reason I don't have one, because I'll be just as bad as, I'll be worse than most people out there. So I have a very addictive personality. Yeah. So these phones basically, they were meant to connect people. Well, basically they've disconnected people from each other. So you walk down the street, yeah, you got people in crouched over positions, sort of like, it's almost like evolution's turning and then going backwards. You know when we were monkeys 12 million years ago, and we used to, and then over the millions of years, we'd Homo erectus, Homo this, Neanderthal man, and finally we got straightened up, and we were meant to become more intelligent. But I think it's taken back, because people are obviously crouched over their phone, in really bad posture, and walking around like this. Now, this is not everyone. This is only what I observe. See, I walk quite a bit. I'm a bit of a walker. I don't drive. I'm very claustrophobic. I can't stay in small rooms or anything, which is a bit of a hindrance sometimes. But to me, I'm glad I've got that, and not the opposite one. Agoraphobia, that must be the worst one. You don't want to go outside. That seems an unnatural one. Whereas claustrophobic seems more natural. But then again, that's only my take on it. So anyway, apart from that, yeah, the phone thing is, so basically what's happened is people become so disconnected. You can walk walk through the park. Now, I'm not talking about the street. I mean, back in the days, in Oxford Street or busy street, you're not going to say make eye contact with everyone and talk to everyone. No, but now you walk. People will they're not even ignoring you. They're just in their own little world. Now, why would anyone want to say hello to me? Well, yeah, why would anyone want to say hello to me? Yeah? Who am I anyway? But it's just taking something away. Now, that's not everyone, yeah. So, I mean, I choose personally where I go. We have a lot of greenery here in Merton. I'm going to reside in Mitcham. If you remember, Mitcham is about a mile or two south of Wimbledon. A lot of greenery around here. There's Mitcham Common, there's Mordenhall Park, there's Morden Park. So, me personally, I kind of live in my own little paradise. But I'm thinking ahead at the moment. I'm thinking of finding my little retirement home, which is somewhere on the equator. I'm searching at the moment. I'm trying to find somewhere where there's no industrialisation, no tour, very little tourism, or as they call it, eco-tourism. Because even though when I go to a place, I am a tourist, aren't we all when we go there? But I want to go there to warn. I want to go and find a nice place, and I want to go and warn these people not to embrace everything that's modern, and because it's not all good. It's good. I'm sure it's going to end badly somehow. No, I don't mean the whole world, but generally, I don't think we're all going to blow up or anything like that. But I think we're greatly disconnected, without realising it. Well, I realise it because I don't have that. I mean, I can't even talk on the phone anymore. I mean, I have to see someone's face. I mean, I don't even like talking over these. They call them FaceTimes. They come around. They've been around all this century, like, you know. They've been around for a while, and which is great if, you know, your relatives are on the other side of the planet, in Australia, New Zealand, somewhere. It's a great way to connect. But it's gone mad. People are taking pictures of everything. They're sending each other pictures of their breakfast and stuff like that, their dinner, which is fine. But when it becomes everyday thing, and it's I know it's crazy to me, like, and there's something about pictures. There's something the Native Americans said. It takes a little bit of something away every time you pose for a picture. I don't know how true that is. I will find out one day, no doubt. Right, that's enough of me for now. Lou, what have you been up to? What a stupid thing to say. You're not going to tell me now, are you? I don't know. I haven't got a clue. Whatever you thought was going to be, will be so. I believe, yeah. But to be honest with you, I haven't done a lot of this. You are my last London connection, and I think my only London connection. Because I always say to people, what are you? No, not many people ask that question anymore, because London's a great mixture. It's got everything in there. We've got someone from every country in the world, which I personally like. There's a section of people that I'm not that keen, but they don't usually live near those people, so they only hear on these little. This is where I'll say back to the phone again. They see these little clips, yeah, and then they get exaggerated, and then they get put in at certain angles, so you can think, wow, is this what it's like? And oh, this is terrible, blah blah blah, all this invasion, but it really is not like that, you know. And people, unfortunately, it's the people that don't know are the ones that often shout the loudest. Now, I've been guilty of that myself before, you know, saying this, that, and the other before I've done any research on the matter. So, really, you have to live the experience, really, before you make it. Listen, before I ramble on, I just want to say I made an effort here for you, because I don't usually walk around with hats and that. This is so I have hair like this. It's all over the place, yeah. I like it. My mum hates it. But I thought I'd throw 1920s, because I think that's the time you remember when you were a teenager, when you were young and that. And before you went to the Guildhall School of Music, which would have been in the 30s, yeah, I'm guessing. I had to find out. I've done a tiny bit of research, but not in the way people do it now. I went to the horse's mouth. I asked certain people, and they refreshed my memory more than anything else. I knew some of it. And I asked where it was, and I couldn't think of it. Wasn't even sure whether it was in London. Shame on me. So I thought, right, I've got to find out without going on to Google. And I thought, who am I going to ask? I rarely have a phone. This month I have an old school phone, which we call basically a Nokia, and we can just phone people and answer. They were around before, around in the 90s, and funny enough, yesterday, my mate, he's kind of my brother-in-law, he rang me up for something, I don't know, something to do with food, I think. And then it dawned on me, he's a black cab driver. So I asked him, and apparently it was near St Paul's, is that right? I hope it's right, because he would have given me wrong information. He's a black cab driver. Guildhall School of Music near St Paul's, maybe Cannon Street was the nearest tube station at the time, but more than that I didn't know. But apparently you went there for 10 years, is that right? That's fantastic. That's great. I mean, you were always great on the piano. Me, I love music, and I could play that. Remember that piece you taught me, the Entertainer? That was I always play it. When I see a piano somewhere, I'll always go on it, and even though I never quite finished it, I can still play it sometimes, and sometimes it flows. But I've got to catch it on the flow. I can't. I never read the music. I just learned it, didn't I? I don't know how. I can't remember, but it. And it's not an easy. Apparently, it's not an easy one to play, but it's the one that I play all the time. There was a piano standing at Heathrow Airport, and I was playing it there. Every now and then you walk. But me personally, I don't go out hardly anymore. I'm a bit of a hermit. But I live near a park down in Mitcham, and I walk through it before I go through Morden, and walk through the back of another park before I get to, which is over here, the lovely trees over there. So I see a lot of greenery if someone lives in the London area. And London's grown now. London extends all the way to Kingston now, and Croydon and places like that. So it's quite a big city, you know. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I've made a bit of an effort to put this 1920s. So did I mention this already? Yeah, I have done. Yeah, okay. I've still got my hoodie on underneath, which is very this time of 1980s, 1990s still. So I'm not really a trendsetter or nothing like that. So do you know what? I don't know where I was now with this. Sometimes I usually do this with Kelly, like your great granddaughter. You know, you feed off each other and that, and sometimes you lose a bit. So anyway, going back to the 1920s, you went to the School of Music, and you were born in Clapham, is that right? Yeah. And Victor was born in Greenwich, yeah, and I was born in Wimbledon. So we represent South London, South East London, South West London, which is fantastic. Because when people ask me, well, what's your heritage, I say I'm half German, quarter Irish, and quarter South London. That's it. I don't mention the English bit, even though when it comes to football, I am an England supporter. Just really football. Rugby, I would say Wales or Ireland, yeah. Anyway, sport wasn't your main thing. I always remember like, and you were ahead of your time in a way. I mean, I remember you was having a go at Franklin. You know, you shouldn't be drinking and going to rugby matches, and now it's definitely frowned upon drinking and driving, which so rightly so. I mean, it's dangerous, isn't it? But an angry man behind the wheel who hasn't drunk can be just as dangerous. So there's all. I think cars full stop are dangerous now, and it would come from someone who doesn't drive. And they've reduced the speeding limit most of London 20 miles an hour. A lot of it. I hear they're doing it in Wales as well. They've done it. They always use Wales and Scotland as a trial. More Wales because we're more connected to like England and Wales. They use them as a trial period. I remember in 2007 they stopped. Yeah, we couldn't smoke anymore in public places, but they done it in Wales first, and 3 months later they done it, or 6 months later done it in London. So yeah, I don't. I wasn't a great pub man, but I used to go down the pub and enjoy a pint and a cigarette. Well, that is no more for the last 20 years. You have to go out into a corner or somewhere outside, and I thought, no, you know what, it's not worth it anymore. I don't really like either of them, but together they kind of, a cigarette and a pint, they kind of went together, or a few pints. But on their own, they're not for me anyway, which is a good thing. But yeah, going back to Frank, yeah, I stopped. I didn't get involved, obviously, but I said, stop pestering the man. He wants to go and watch a rugby and have a couple of drinks. But well, now they can throw you into jail for drink and drive now, straight away. I'll give you a few months and that. So yeah, you were ready for time on that one, Lou. You would have hated the weather. You always liked it cloudy and rainy. I always remember that. I thought, why does Lou like cloudy and rainy? I mean, I understand it to a certain degree because we've been praying for rain in the last few weeks here, because we have had no rain for like 2 months here in London, and I don't think they've had any in Wales either. And you know, the grass it's not even yellow, it's brown. So really, we had a tiny bit of rain the other day, and I think we're going to get some rain in a couple of days. So, you know, hopefully the things will turn green again. I always say, if there, I better be careful what I say. I was about to say, if there was a God, I'm sure there is. There may be, there isn't. Would He not make it rain at night and sunny during the day? This is what I say. But then again, He's not there to make everything fine. If He is there, it's supposed to be a test or something, isn't it? See what we do here or whatever. But so, listen, I haven't got a clue. I've got no beliefs. I've got all beliefs and no beliefs in that. So anything's possible. In all likelihood, whatever you believe will be so. Which I think is quite a fair statement, because whatever you believe in, and there could be 10, 15, 20 versions of you out there. Yeah, one could be floating out breaking bread with your ancestors, but how far do you go back? How big is the cloud? Because everyone wants to hang out with their grandchildren and their kids and their grandparents, but then they want to do the same, and it goes back. And that's some hell of a big cloud where everyone's sitting there in a row. But, you know, it could be, if that's what you think in your head, will it be so? Me personally, I think maybe I'm just energy. Yeah. Now, once my energy comes out this body, it has to go somewhere. Where? I do not know. So me talking to you probably is a complete waste of time because you're probably on some other mission. You are probably a star. You've got your own planetary system, and maybe you're observing it, and you know, maybe we're puppet masters when we have stars. We have control, but I don't think so. I don't think no one's meant to have control over anything. I mean, I think we're meant to just let things happen. You know, we can make things slightly easy for ourselves and coerce things slightly in our favour. But never if it means anyone else has got to be left out of the equation. That's the thing. This is the thing. We kind of got to work for something where, you know, everyone's happy. You know, all sit in a circle and sing "Kumbaya." Eh? It's funny that when people say, "Oh, listen, we got to be more nice to each other," to people go, "Yeah, what? We're all sitting around in a circle and say Kumbaya." So when I go, yeah, why not? Give it a go. That's my answer usually. Like, not that we're there yet, not that we'll ever be there yet, but I think we can work. We can only find our own little bits of paradise in this world. Paradise is in your head. It doesn't have to be a place with a beach and a palm tree. Even though I still look for that. And me personally, I think I found my little island. Yeah, I think I found it. It's on the equator as well. I got something about the equator there. They have about 6 harvests a year there. You know, there's fruit growing in abundance, and really that is all we need. It's just good fruit that basically drops off the trees. For me, do you know? Me personally, I've never been ambitious. You know, I never wanted lots of things. Do you know what? The only thing I'd like money for. The only thing. So I really can't stand travelling. I'm claustrophobic and all that I could travel in comfort, which would mean if you went on a plane, going at the front of the plane instead of on the back. In fact, when you go on the plane, you do a left instead of a right. Now that's not because I want to be in first class, because nothing to do with status. It's basically so I can just stretch my legs and maybe go to sleep, because I can never sleep on those long journeys now. But then again, maybe we shouldn't be going long journeys on planes anymore. Apparently it's adding to the heat that we're getting now. Oh, you would have hated this sun. We just passed on that a minute ago, didn't we? Just talked about that. It was basically sunny every day between 25 and 35 for almost 2 months. It did hardly went below 25. I know I'm even talking like that. 25 is 80. Yeah. Between 80 and 100. It was wavering between 80 and 100 for about 2 months. Can you believe that? I mean, we used to get the odd 80, 85, didn't we? A few days back in the 70s and 80s, and it was a good 76. They always talk about 1976, and I kind of still remember that. I was in Germany then. We often went to Germany to see Oma and Opa, who I know you remember. Yeah. And 76, yeah, it was a nice summer. Obviously, when you're kids, you enjoy to be outside, and that's another thing. It's a bit desolate out there. I'm sure. I don't know if it's me being a grumpy old man now. My granddad now. I've got a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. So it's not actually a granddad hat. You see some old boys, they still wear these hats now, but it's just meant to be a 1920s hat. I probably meant to have a shirt underneath this. Like people, I mean, I have to say, people did used to dress a lot smarter now. I mean, back in the day, everyone made an effort. Now, even the people that still wear suits are either lawyers or they're fiddling around with money up in the square mile and that, and they don't. Those suits, they look rubbish compared to the ones. I mean, well, this is only part of the suit. Of the ones they used to wear back in your day. I mean, so I think he reached a peak. I think he reached a peak of fashion and smartness probably 50s, 60s, and it probably all went downhill since then. Like, but, you know, it's all a matter of opinion and taste. So where were we? We're talking about heat? No, we were talking about something else. Oh, I forgot now. I've gone off on one and I can't remember what I was talking about. By now, most people would have been shut, because basically I'm just talking to myself here, but I'm not. I'm actually talking to you, Lou. So basically, South London Connection, where we were, South London Connection. Yeah, you were. Yeah, funny enough, right? I'm not a territorial guy, and I think flags, waving flags, and this is mine, this is yours, is always a problem. But I do love it when our footballers from my club, which we won the first, which is called the First Division. They call it the Premiership now, but we won it last year. And I always want to make sure, not only do I want people from London there, I want people from South London there. And the funny thing, we have 3 players, and they all represent where we. I got one player who was born in Kingston Hospital who represents me because I was born in Wimbledon, which is kind of down the road. I got another player. Now he plays for England. This one, the one born in Kingston Hospital, is a regular. I've got another young kid. He's an up and coming. He's played for England a couple of times. He was born in Denmark Hill, which is about as near as to Clapham as you can get. I suppose it's a couple of miles. But we got another player, South London player. He was born in Greenwich, which is exactly the same place as Victor was born, I believe. So I have an affiliation to something close. It just means that people that are close to Bournemouth, where you were born, it's a good area to learn your trade. Which even though I wasn't, I'm not much of a team player. I played in goal occasion. I wasn't a bad goalkeeper in that. So it's more of a goalkeepers now get more involved in the sport, but they were always more like individual. They have their own training and stuff. So. But yeah, we have 3 players, and we have 7. We have 7 London players in the Arsenal squad, which is about 26, 27. I know you don't like football, so I'm going to quickly start and finish on this. And we have a couple of others, so we have 9 England players, and they were just born outside London. So it's nice to have locals. When I say locals, I mean our locals come from all over the world. They were just born here. So let's get this right. Yeah. So it's a great place for that. I mean, if you want to eat any food, I mean we'll get mocked here for our food, but not anymore, because you can think of any country in the world, you can go and buy that food within almost a stone's throw, which I think is a great thing, especially for people who don't want to travel, who can't travel for whatever reason. You've got the world on your doorstep here, which infuriates some people. You know what? A lot of people go, "Oh, it's not like the old days and all that," and I goes, "Yeah, I agree with them. It's not like the old days. Everyone's on their phones," and then I get a wall of silence because everyone's on their phones. And, people still babble on about immigration and there's too many of this and too many of that. But listen, this brings me on to when you met Frank. I heard this somewhere before, but someone refreshed my memory the other day there, and I was kind of sort of still surprised, but it kind of. Something lingered in my head that I've been told that your mum really wasn't very in favour of you marrying an Irishman. Is this true? It seems crazy to think. I mean, people still have these views about different people now, but not really where I live, because I live in London. It's very small. But to think that but when you think about it, in the 1920s, the Irish and the English were at war. And then I'll say to my mum sometimes, when you come over with Victor, the Germans and the English were at war not that long ago, so they weren't that much in favour. She said she never experienced any what's it called, prejudice. But I suppose being an Irishman or a German, you're not visibly an Irishman or a German. If you come from another continent and you have slightly darker skin, and you're more visible than to other people, so it becomes probably slightly more of a problem then. But I didn't realise there was a lot of prejudice in there. It probably was, but. If people love their fish and chips, they've got to remember the Jewish people brought that over many years ago. And I think biryani is one of our most popular dishes now, and the Indians brought that over in the 60s and the 70s. So on we go. Everything changes. That's life. Everything has to change. It has to evolve. It's the way it goes. But yeah, I didn't realise that your mum was so displeased. I thought I'd heard somewhere before, but I kind of dismissed it years ago. But the thing about it now, which would have been what? How many years ago now? I'm guessing you met Frank in the mid-30s. Would that be about right? I mean, maybe early to mid-30s. When Arsenal were doing it, so I had to bring football in there. We were big in the 30s. We won everything then, didn't we? And we're about to do it again, by the way. We're high hope. You must have met Frank in the mid-30s, early 30s, because I think David was born in 36. So in those days, apparently, you'd get married before you had the babies. Now it's the other way around. Like Mark Kelly, your great-granddaughter, had your great-great-grandchildren 4 and 6 years ago, 5 and 7 years ago. But when she's getting married next year, in her nan's cathedral in Alicante, she passed away a couple of years ago, her nan. She was in the night. She was, in fact, her nan was about the same age as you were. She was born in 34, I think, and died in 25, something like that. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, talking about age and that, there was a lady the other day. She had what was it? 117th birthday. She was still alive. she had the. We got a king now, by the way. It's Charlie Boy. The Queen passed in 22, so he went to visit her, and she was born on the what was it? The 21st, 2 days ago, of June of August, '09. So basically, it's only about 2 or 3. In fact, she was probably conceived when you were born. She's probably about 9 or 10 months older, younger than what you are, what you've been, or still are, whatever. Yeah. So she's still there. She's still sitting upright in her chair. She's the oldest. I think she's the oldest in the world, documented. No doubt, there's people in China or people who roamed around there have lived longer than that. It's the only documented, but I'm sure there is other people. That's pretty good to live that long in this environment, which. I say this environment is it's not a bad environment. This country is a lot better off than most, but it doesn't mean it's perfect, does it? Yeah, she was 117 the other day. She was doing all right. She was born in '09. Yeah, that's right. It's 26 now. '09. Yeah, 20. So yeah, Frank was born in the 3rd of May, wasn't he? In '09. Yeah, that's right. So. But her conception would have been about the time you were born, because I always measure life from when you were conceived, not from when you're born. So even though I'm only 61, I'm actually 62 now. I call it my life day. Some people think I'm a little gaga, but it's true. I think certain cultures, they track back, because it's very important what happens. We're in there, very important. Yeah, I mean, if Mum's having a hard time, you know, it could stress you out a little bit, you know. When she's having a nice, relaxed time, it's probably better for you. I don't know, but I'm sure that matters. So yeah, when you met Frank, I didn't really know that you had your mum. Wow, that was. You know, I suppose you can understand it. People, they're misinformed, and they listen to certain news channels. They believe everything they hear, and now it's even worse because they have these little videos. They're like 30-second videos that come out. That's why I said, going back to the phone books, it has taken people's life over. Yeah. I mean, and listen, I'm not completely complicit. I can't even think of the words. I need to listen. I need to read more. Never liked reading, and I don't know why that is, but you know what? I read a saying the other day. I mean, Einstein said a lot of things, but he said too much. I don't know if he said reading or too much reading takes away your imagination, and I can understand that. If you're reading another man's fiction, that's his imagination. I mean, there's so much stuff that goes through my head. I sit there and think, and I think when you're just watching a screen all the time, you're watching other people's ideas, and it kind of dampens down your ideas, and I don't think that's a good thing. I don't. So anyway, where was I? I've gone off here, but it doesn't matter because I'm talking to you, and you can understand it. People say they can't understand me because I waffle, but I can only talk to you like I'm just talking this case of there. I'm not sitting here with a notepad or a phone. You know, when I see politicians and they're all standing, all looking down, I think, come on. You're in an important position here. You can't even make the offer to memorise something you really mean. They don't all do it, but a lot of them. I mean, I have to laugh because I shouldn't really laugh, but in America, at the moment, we got some president and he's off key, right? He's lost the plot. He can't be trusted anyway, yeah. But he'll start reading a teleprompter and then he'll think, stuff this, I'll ram. And he actually makes me laugh, but I don't want to laugh because I think he's possibly a dangerous man, and not to be trusted whatsoever. So, but the reason I bring him up is because he often just starts rambling and whatever comes to his head, and sometimes he's actually quite funny, even though I don't want to laugh. I think he's not an unhealthy person to have in charge of the most powerful country in the world, which they still are. But I think if I talk to you another 50 years time, I still think I'll be around, and I'll send another message to you in 25 years time, Lou, which will make me about 86, 87. I should think I'll be around still, but I don't think I'll be around. Well, you never know, 50, 111, that's a good little number. Well, I think by then, see, I forgot what I was talking about just before that. But by then we'll live in a different stage of our life, so we can look back on this. I think, and the thing is this walking around. If you come down here and saw it all, people walking around like that, ignoring each other, just focusing, you think it's bizarre. But that's going to change again. And if you come down in 25 years' time, they're already coming out. They'll have these glasses which will have all your information on there. Not only that, you'll be able to see someone. You don't know them, but they will scan and give you information on that person. Because practically everyone, barring myself and a few others, have put all their information on the internet. You know, what they are, what they like, and it will tell you what they like, which probably will make it easier for people to, dare I say the word, chat each other up, or just chat to someone, or whatever. But you know what? It's cheating, isn't it? It's not real. It's nonsense. You know what? Life wasn't meant to be that easy, and I finally realised. And people could say I've led an easy life because I didn't go to work as most people did, because I didn't have to. Yeah. If I lived in the days when we were walking around with this, I would probably have to be shoveling coal or something. You know, some manual job probably, because I don't mind it. But actually, now I mentioned my daughter's getting married. Now, the father does not have to pay for all the wedding anymore. But I've got to make a contribution. So I am on the verge of going to get a job. I mean, properly. I don't mean we're working a couple of weeks here then. Because we had the welfare state for a while, you remember it. I want to see what it's like to go and have to pay your rent, go and save a little bit of money, and go home and be tired every day doing the same boring thing. Listen, man, I can only do probably for 3 or 4 months, or until my daughter, till Kelly gets married. Then I'll have to rethink and maybe do a little bits and pieces, but try and look after myself. As in, like, people always moan about everyone's on well. I mean, do you know what? People who actually work on any kind of benefit are in a minority there. I have to include the pensioners, people who get child benefit, obviously the kids. Some people who work still get what's it called? Sort of by the state, because the wages are so low compared to the rent. The rent's a problem in London. The rent is extremely high. But I'm lucky. I got a council flat about just before my 50th birthday, 11 years ago, and the council has always had a reasonable rate. So you can actually have a manual job and get by on it. But if you was to live in a 1-bedroom flat and rent privately, no way, Jose, it can't be done. Right, this is where am I now? I'm babbling on here like. Listen, I don't know what else to say, Lou. About this world or about what you're up to. Musically, can I say? I never played the saxophone. I know you've got my saxophone. Obviously, Donald. He took the saxophone, and he's a fantastic player. And he's always been involved in music. You probably know he's turned your garage into a studio, and he lives in your old house. And it's great. It's the outside looks just the same. He's just Spanishified. I call it Mediterranean-fied. The inside took the roof out and made tall ceilings, which is great, especially if you have claustrophobia. So, but I spend time in the Roundhouse. I'm sure the Roundhouse was around. Was the Roundhouse around when you were still around? I can't remember that. But I'm missing out this year. I love going down there. I always have done since 1970, I think. Yeah. So I wonder if you have you seen Frank since you passed there. And Victor as well. He's there. Victor, I'll be sending you, Victor, if you're there, I'll be sending you a little message come December. Yeah. Yeah, because it would have been 10 years then. You know, I can't do this every year. But every 10 years, I'm gonna do one for Frank in 2030. Yeah. That'd be 40 years then, wouldn't it? Yeah, wow, 40 years. I always remember Kelly Jade. She was at Frank's funeral. She was there. She was 6 weeks old and that. So yeah, the place looks still the same in Wales. It's great, you know. And your little garden is still a garden, which was Frank's. I call it Frank's swimming pool. You didn't really participate in swimming, did you? you made it into a rock garden, and that's still the same. That's still great, and there's a few vegetables growing around there. That's fantastic. That's great. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be working for. Hopefully, I'll be getting this job, and I've chosen a dustman. It would suit me because about 5-6 years ago we had a thing like a kind of like a pandemic or an epidemic. A pandemic was, it wasn't quite as bad as the flu they forecasted it. The flu of 2018. They forecasted this to be a terrible thing, and it was. A lot of people died, but mainly people that, dare I say it, were on their way out. Be careful what I say. I was a little bit dismissive of it, I have to say, and the university said, "All right, don't be dismissive because I'll give you something to remember." And you know what it done to me? It took away my smell, which isn't always a bad thing living in a city. I'd say there's probably more bad smells than good smells. But the beauty about this, hopefully I will get this job. The job is a dustman. You remember dustman? They call them dustmen. They call them refuge collectors now. Do you remember that old song, "My old man's a dustman, he wears a dustman's hat and lives in a council flat"? I don't know, I forgot the old version of it, but my daughter can be proud now, she can sing that song, can't she? But it would suit me because I lost my smell, so that's probably half the battle is walking behind those carts and that. And it's an early start, early finish, 6 to 12. It'll hopefully I can keep that up. Find my little magical island around at Christmas time. Because I do miss my sunshine, and then the wedding is next June. That'll be a great thing. I mean, to me, a person's marriage starts when the conception of the child starts, which traditionally would be just after the wedding, wouldn't it? So it would be the honeymoon, I suppose. But now everything's different. People get married for different reasons. Now people don't get married just to have children now. I know. Yeah, seems it's different, They do it for financial reasons or something. I mean, you got guys marrying guys and girls marrying girls now. It's all this kind. That's great, Live and let live. That's what I say. Bit strange still, isn't it? But still, it's fun. Yeah, things have changed a little bit. Like, for example, people are cursing. Curse words I would never dream of using there, but can't call someone fat anymore because they might be very sad. The thing is, if you call someone a name and they don't appreciate it, you don't call them that again. Yeah. But now there's a lot of little rules and regulations what you can and what they tell you can and can't say. Obviously, anyway. So look, in some ways it's a lot better now for some things. Everything's a lot cleaner. Cars are electric. Cars are driving a lot slower. Yeah. But there's lots of the communication's gone. The banter. Now, let's be careful with banter, because banter can be perceived as being insulting sometimes. But, you have to take each case individually. If you say someone upset, "Sorry, mate, didn't mean to," don't do it again, that's all, it's okay. But, yeah, I'm out of here. To be honest with you, it wasn't for my grandchildren. It's too... it always has been, though. This has not really changed. I mean, people used to be on the tubes hiding behind the Daily Telegraphs, didn't they? So now they hide behind their sunglasses and that. Everyone seems a little bit feared up, and we all get fearful sometimes. But I listen to a lot of news from around the world. When I hear the things that happen in a lot of these countries, I think, listen, this is nothing. Whatever happens here, people worrying about if their washing machine's broken down or something like that. Yeah. There was half your wages were missing. Obviously, if you can't feed the children that often, then it's a serious matter. But things are not that drastic. No one starves in this country. I don't think so. Anyway, I shouldn't say it, because the only reason I feel allowed to say that, because I am very low maintenance. I can go a day without food. It's not a problem. It's probably in this day it's probably good for you. I mean, I hear eating. I have a little problem. Look, I mean, I'm not going to show you my belly. It's undignified, isn't it? But yeah, I have a little food problem. But I think I will deal with that when I walk behind. Hopefully, walk behind a dust cart for 6 hours a day. 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. Unless if you hurry it up, it can lead into 7 or 8 hours. But this is what I intend to do. So, apart from getting a bit of money and paying my own rent, I get to lose a bit of weight, which is always a good thing, because I don't think there's any fat 95-year-olds around, is there? No. And if I can get to the age that you live to, Lou, that would be great. Considering that sometimes my past choices of lifestyles have been a little bit dicey, to say the least. Yeah, but I think so far so good. I think I've always done my stretches. I always say, but always do your stretches. You have to go and sit and pump in the gym. You know, the gyms are very important and very popular here. But I walk past them all the time because you don't really see them doing much in there. They're on their phones again, like they appear to be. You know, they say, "Oh, I'm on my phone in between me sets." They go. It's all very mechanicalised. Listen, there's nothing like going for a walk and out and swinging off a branch. You know, this is how you were like millions of years ago. It's all very compartmentalised. Oh God, I can't even say the word here. Everything's like, every muscle is on its own, which is good for rehabilitation of a sportsman, but actually as an exercise, I find it a little bit mechanical, robotic. Matrixy is a word they use for a film that really is ahead of its time, and a film that I haven't even seen from beginning to end. And it's one of those things I need to see, the same as I need to read George Orwell's 1984, and I've never read that. I've only heard those things are very relevant to the age we're living in, but written 50 years ago, 40 years ago, you know. So I have to do a bit of brushing up. I'll have to get an audio. I don't like reading. I have to get an audio thing. Well, Lou, I know there's a few things that I've missed out, and I'm trying to think as I'm babbling along here what I can still say. I can't think of it. Frank, what can I say? We'll talk about food. No one made bread and butter pudding like you. I missed that tin, that white tin with the little blue stripe round the side, and then the butter in it, and the raisins and the bread, and it was the best thing ever. Like, yeah? No one made bread and butter pudding like you. So absolutely, bang on, it was great. It's like, but yeah, I'll still get to go down the go. Like I say, I go to Wales every year, almost. Yeah, I missed this year because of. Sometimes you miss a year. I don't travel very well. This is a problem. I don't like it anymore. I'm afraid I won't be alive when teletransportation will be around. When you just go into a little cubicle like that and zoom, zap, you'll be wherever you want to be. Before that, we're going to have long tunnels that you can basically go into a tunnel like that and they'll just shoot you through like they do the little tubes and like they used to have in the city with the mail going around and all that. So you can get to America in half an hour or something like that. You go into a little vault and vacuum packed and I don't think I'd like that either. I think a bit of teletransportation where you just and then suddenly you're over there like seconds later. But I think I'll be well gone before that gets invented. Well gone. I think that we got a few more years. And time travel, that's another interesting thing. Now I wonder, is that possible? And people say that it can't be possible. And the way I think, how can it be possible? But would you have thought a television was possible 200 years ago? Something where you can see the world on a screen. If you would have suggested it 300 years ago, they would have probably burnt you at the stake. I mean, I believe there was a guy, an Italian guy, what was his name? Leonardo, something. He drew drawings and stuff that was invented many hundreds of years later and that, so... Yeah, we can have kind of visions of what the future's going to be like. Yeah, I have many of those. I don't even want to start here. This is not the time and the place for that. But I'm just wondering, what's it like? Just send me a little message down if you're up there. Make something move, or just if you're still on the old, say a little. Do you know what? I just want to get that little job. It's a dustman. Apparently, it's quite easy to get. It's harder to keep. So I want to do that, and hopefully, by the time I speak to you next in 25 years' time, I'll probably retired because I need to do my 20 years. I'll probably work less than 5 years, and most of that. 2 of that was between the ages of 16 and 18. And throw in a few months here and a couple of weeks there, I've probably done 4 or 5 years. So most people work. So if you worked all your life, that's probably 50 years, isn't it? So if I can do another 15, 20 years till I'm about 80, because the one thing I'm not is burnt out. I'm not burnt out because I think that's the biggest killer out there. Back in the day, people lived to what? What was that saying? A labourer, construction site worked, you know, if you work every day and hard, lived to 50, a coal miner till he was 40, and a slave till he was 30. So basically, you're back in the old days. They worked we lived to 30, 40 years old. They worked most of us to death, and the people that benefited out of it probably ate themselves to death with all the profits. Roughly speaking, like, yeah. But could we live as long as all the biblical people like Abraham and Noah and all that, to 900 and something? I don't think so, but I think sooner a lot of us will live past 100, and if you take another, even my grandchildren will probably be looking at 120, 130, and then they'll invent things medically, and then they're going to freeze your brain, and they're going to do all sorts of that, but I'll be gone by then anyway. Like, I'm just looking for my little retirement home in the tropics. That's what I want. So that's why I've just suddenly decided. And I'm quite lucky, really, because I never really had to go to work in order to eat. But then again, when you think about it, the way this planet was designed, none of us should have had to go to work just to eat and to live. That's kind of manufactured by the few that kept us a little bit, yeah. But as it stands now, if you want something a bit more than just food and water, you're going to have to put a bit of collar into it, and I'm going to have to do that now. So on that note, Lou, not that you ever told me to go to work or nothing like that. I mean, my mum gave up about 30 years ago. Even now when I tell her that I'm going to go and get a job, she doesn't really believe it anyway. Say hello to everyone who's not with us down here no more. If you're hanging out with them, I don't know what's going on up there. There could be 100 different youths up there, in everyone's different imagination of where everyone is. So, and drop us a little sign if you can, supernatural, whatever. It'd be great, you know what I mean? A little sign, a little writing in the cloud or something. I'm here, I'm up there. I've got all little ramblings and that, so I'm going to finish this off now, and have a nice whatever you're doing, Luke. And I know there's stuff I forgot to talk about. I know there is. That's why I'm a bit hesitant. I was about to sign off there, but I'm sure there's something else I had to mention. I wanted to play a bit of your music on there, but I haven't got it on the YouTube. This is very badly organised. The reason is I only found out the other day that this was the day he passed. Yes, the last thing I've got to leave on this. The last thing you said to me, and it was brilliant, and I'll tell everyone about it. I've got to end on this one. When you was lying in that hospital in Cardiff, probably a couple of days before the 21st, 01, you looked at Victor, pointing at me and saying, "You're not leaving him here with me, are you?" And I loved that, and he loved it, and we always talk about it. What a way to go out. I mean, the last thing he said to me is, "You're not leaving me with you." I mean, I'm going to go, because I can draw a bit, the funny thing is, Lou, I stay away from people because I find their energy, a lot of people, because all the blah, 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 it's a bit toxic, so I don't want to know, because it drains my energy. I probably drain other people's energy as well. I'm probably doing that all my life. We'll probably drain each other's energy. So, yeah, that was a great thing, and I loved that. And that to me will always be special. Saying something like, I mean, if you don't get the battery, it might seem a little bit of a no. That was you couldn't have said a better thing to me. Oh, I love that. So on that note, Lulu. It's great that I didn't call you Nan or something like that. It was Lulu by the name. So it was great. I'm going to love you and leave you. And, carry on doing what you're doing up there. And I'll carry on what I'm doing up there. And hopefully we can maybe have a face-to-face one day. Maybe not. Who knows? Yeah? Who knows? See you soon, Lulu. Bye.